Hello there. Right, so, as I said, newly qualified HGV driver. The process that I went through, obviously I made inquiries in the beginning. That was back in October 22. Approached a few companies and they just bombarded me, man. I approached 4 different companies and they were just relentless. Phone calls all the time. And I was like, something ain't right here. Something ain't right. So I did a little bit of digging and I spoke to the National Driving Centre. And I explained to the guy was good as gold. That's down in Croydon, which is the other side for me. So I'm based more east. And he clued me up and he said, you're probably talking to brokers. So I did a bit of research and it turns out that the 4 companies that I were in fact talking to were brokers. So armed with that information, this was going backwards and forwards a couple of weeks. Armed with that information, when they phoned me again, I just outright said, are you a broker? 2 of them were like, put the phone down. One of them blatantly lied and said, no, I'm not a broker. I've 90 test centres around the country. That's impossible. They put the phone down. The 4th one was like, yes, I am. Was very upfront and honest. I was like, no, thank you, not for me. So I did some more research. I'm based in Essex, on the Essex-East London border. So I found a company based in Chelmsford in Essex, which isn't too far, just down the A12 for me. Spoke to them on the phone and I said, you ain't a broker, are you? And I was like, no, we're not a broker. And I told them and I was like, whoa, you had a touch there. So I signed with them, Flare Training in Chelmsford, Essex. Got their own truck, got a couple of, got 1 rigid and they've got 3 Arctics. As I said, I did my Cat C. At this point, I'd already done my medical myself and sent off for my provisional, for my entitlements for HGV, which you've got to do. So you can't do anything until you've done your medical, your D2 and your D4 it's called. Once I got my licence back, I booked in a test drive with the owner. He took me out for an hour and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have some of this. Yeah, I like it. I like the feel of it. And then I paid a deposit. They sent me through the theories. You've got to take your theory, your hazard perception again, like you did with your car, but it's more geared towards lorry. At least the theory side of it is. Did all that. I just studied and studied and studied and studied and studied. Did that. Did my CPC 2, which again is more theory. So I was literally studying for a solid month. And then I did my theory, did my hazard perception, which I obviously passed. Then I did my CPC 2. I did that like 4 days later to give myself a bit more time because you just the questions and the laws and the tachograph and the working hours and the driving hours and working time directive and the weights and axle. Mate, there was just so much going on. Gave myself a bit more time to prepare for that. Now, when I went and did my CPC, it's I used their online portal, and then I got a different one from the App Store. So I had 2, and they do all the mock questions. So there's like Dave is driving from Glasgow to Wales, and they give you scenarios, and you've got to kind of click on the right answer. So I did all of that. When you get into the actual test, it's nowhere near as difficult as the questions in the app. And a lot of, obviously watch YouTube on that, YouTube videos, and people said the same thing. And it's true, but you still got to study it. So I nailed that. You've got to get 40 and above out of 50. I got 48, doesn't matter, I passed it. And that was it, booking for my driving. Now, I was meant to do my driving, start my practical. So I broke up because obviously I was still teaching. The first week that we broke up, which was about 2 weeks before Christmas, that first week they was going to get me in. Phoned them up when I passed my CPC. And they was like, look, man, there was like some of the instructors are on strike as well. I was like, you're joking. Anyway, I told them my situation with work because I've been upfront with work and said what I'm doing, and I'll probably be out of here by the end of January, beginning of February. The woman in the office was good as gold. She went, leave it with me. Next day she phoned me up and she said, I've got these dates for you. And that was, I had just before New Year's Eve, I had Thursday, which was my reversing test, and my CPC 4, which is more questions. So that was on the Thursday. I had a little bit of driving time there. On the Friday, I had 4 hours driving. Then it was New Year's. It was New Year's Eve on the Saturday. Sunday was New Year's Day. Monday was bank holiday. So on the Tuesday last week, I went in for another 4-hour training session. And then on the Wednesday, just gone, the 4th, I actually had my practical test. So I was like, Jesus, is that enough like driving time? So I took where I was in Chelmsford, I took my test in Ipswich, which is in Suffolk, which further on down the A12 on the A14, it's not far at all, it's about an hour drive. So for me, it's about an hour and a half drive. Went out with my instructor the day before, perfect. Driving was spot on, I was really confident. He took me out, and I was shit, basically. It just weren't going in. And I was like, I missed weight restrictions, roundabouts. I'm like, oh, for God's sake. He's like, just calm down, just calm down. Where's the Scott from yesterday? So I kind of went round for an hour and a half. He took me round some hot spots, which are notoriously difficult and where most people fail. Got back to the test centre. Had about 15 minutes. Now I do this thing, as I said in my previous video, this is not just about driving. I'm going to be doing driving, and when I actually start, I'm going to take on the road. But like I said, I'm heavily into music, play a lot of guitar, so I like to teach a bit of that. I'm a mental health advocate, and I do this thing called EFT tapping, where you tap. It's a massive, massive thing. I'll do a separate video on it, and I used it during lockdown for a solid 3 months and beat anxiety. It's absolutely brilliant. So I did some tapping, calm myself down. I'm like that. So before your practical test, you do show and tell. So that was all in my head. And then I was, right, okay, I'm cool with that. Examiner come in. Very, very like that. His name was Matt. Nice fella, but wasn't any conversation there, which is good because I needed to get everything that I need to think about, like all that kind of stuff. Did the show and tell, and just all of a sudden, because I did the tapping, bang, I was just focused, I was in the zone. Took me round for an hour. You have to do I did a 10-minute self-drive where he just guides me, follow signs for this, and this. And I got back to the test centre. My examiner Stuart come out and he was like looking, and I was like that, and he just beamed. I knew I passed because he said pull up behind here, and he just got the pad out and started writing out your practical thingy. I was like, whoo, and I did it with 4 minors, which is good considering before I was shit. It just weren't going in, so it just helped. And I think I know that the tapping really helped me. Like I said, I'll do a video on that. So this is where I'm at now. I've passed my practical, gave the examiner my my driving licence. That's sent off to the DVLA. So I've got my practical. This is what you end up with. You've got your practical. You've got your module 3A, which is your reversing. You've got your module 4, which you do the same day as your reversing, and then you get all of this stuff, which is your theory and your CPC and all that good stuff. So once you've done your reversing and your mod 4, because you've already done your mod 2, the guy that does that, it's a separate guy, he sends off for your driver's qualification card, which comes through. You have to order your tachograph yourself, which costs 32 quid. So that's coming soon, and I've got my license coming back soon. So where I'm at now is I've passed. I've applied for jobs. I'm just waiting to hear back. I've applied for a couple of agencies. A couple of agencies that I've spoken to, they've actually said, like, we can't take you on. Some people have said that with this, people will take you on. But with the couple of agencies that I've spoken to, they said, wait until you get your 3 cards, then we'll talk, and then we'll get you out. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I'm just going to document my journey. Just take that plunge, man. Just take that plunge. So the price was all in for your Cat C was 1,600 quid. Now, when I spoke to the brokers, they were quoting like 2.5 grand, 3 grand. One quoted me 3,600. I'm like, what? Like, turn it in. So really do your homework. Don't be afraid to ask them if they're a broker. Really do your research, because once you're tied into a broker, you are fucked. Okay, that's what my examiner told me, and the guy that owns it, he was like, "Ooh, you had a lucky one there. Good job you're on it." Don't go with a broker. Go with an independent that have got their own fleet, because what will happen with a broker, you could end up doing your test anywhere. Anywhere. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of the brokers phone up these places, like Flair, for example, and say, "Will you take people on?" They're like, "No chance." So really do your homework on that. So that's it. So another new driver. Like I said, I'm going to document it. Brand new to this YouTube thing, so I don't know, like, subscribe and all that kind of thing. I've probably got about 3 views on my other video. But like I said, I know I'm repeating myself a little bit. It's not just about driving. I'm into many different things, and the more comfortable I get, I'll impart lots of knowledge and help people out. So stay safe out there and have a good one.